Western Broome Environmental Stakeholders Coalition, and we've been together for about 10 years. Activities with the IBM plume and the IBM Workers Health Study and the local communities health study. And this topic tonight is the EIT I3 landfill leachate process. And it's a natural continuation of our work because there's some possible things that might affect us there. So what I'd like to do is introduce the speakers, and they're more or less question responders as opposed to speakers, because we're not we don't have any prepared remarks here. So first I'd like to introduce Dave Baker, who is a trustee in Endicott, and Mary Jane Peachy is the regional DEC engineer. John Okeson is a DEC officer. Phil Grayson is the wastewater engineer at Endicott Sewage Treatment Plant. And Kent Ramp is the, I forgot Kent. Village of Endicott engineer, sorry. And also we have Donna Lepardo, who is our assemblywoman from this district. So what we're sending around some 3x5 cards, and you can move around if this post is in your way. But we're sending around 3x5 cards if you'd like to put a question in there, and then we'll try to fit it in all these other questions, and then at the end we'll have a time for you to ask questions. And we'll have a roving microphone for that. Okay, so we will be using the handout as the agenda. So I'm going to ask the question, and then whoever is the most qualified up front here can answer it. Okay, so starting with number one, besides the EIT waste streams, what waste streams does EIT treat?
I guess I'll... Sorry, my voice does project, so I didn't want to scream into it. So if anyone can't hear in the back, please just raise your hand. Believe me, I can get louder. How's that? Is that better? Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. So what waste streams does EIT currently treat? Well, the bulk of the waste that comes into and out of the treatment plant there at the former EIT facility is waste generated by the company itself. About 90% of the waste stream is from their actual operations. They do take a small amount of waste from now the BAE facility is located there. There's a small recycling company there. My understanding is that they also may take on occasion glycol waste from the Broome County Airport. And then of course there's the subject really that we're trying to address tonight. There are 2 leachate streams that the department has authorized EIT's facility to take and treat, and on average I would say of the 80,000 gallons a day that's allowed in there for leachate, I would say the breakdown is about 50,000 gallons per day from Broome County and about 30,000 gallons a day from the Seneca Meadows landfill.
Yeah, could you give the numbers again? Okay, Broome County landfill.
Broome County, and these are approximate. I mean,
Yes.
on different days, different numbers get generated, but roughly speaking, about 50,000 gallons comes from the Broome County landfill and 30 from Seneca Meadows landfill.
Can't hear. Let's say that Broome County is going 230, and that's why they want to sink the landfill into it and to fill up the void. So I thought it was 30, 50 the other way around.
Not according to the records that I have. I can show them, I actually have a breakdown of numbers coming in from Seneca Motors, but and those are rough numbers. But essentially, and I actually had a similar question because I don't know if any of you are familiar, but the Seneca Meadows landfill is a very large landfill. It's much larger than the Broome County landfill. But Seneca Meadows leachate goes to several other facilities as well. So, well, correct. And they have some other options that are better for them, quite frankly. So that's it. In essence, it's about 3 trucks a day when they are delivering. And they don't deliver every day. And those trucks carry a little over 8,000 gallons. Okay. Yes, sir.
Explain what leachate is for people who may not.
I'm sorry. Yes. Not everyone is maybe so engaged in the business of garbage. But essentially, leachate is considered a liquid byproduct when our waste goes into a municipal or any type of landfill, essentially. When the waste goes in, we live in a society where there are, well, in this climate, there's over 30 some odd inches of rain a year, and there's moisture in the garbage itself, and when that material goes into the landfill, there's liquid that will come out the bottom. And in New York State, we have regulations, and when I say regulations, we heavily regulate landfills. That leachate is required to be collected. And that's the material that we're talking about here tonight. So it's the liquid that comes through the garbage when the garbage has actually gone into an engineered cell. The cell has got a liner system to it, it's got a leachate collection, and actually it's often nowadays has multiple liners and multiple collection systems. Fair enough? Okay.
Does EIT treat all of the waste and waste streams differently?
I wasn't quite sure what this question was getting at, but I mean the waste streams, they'll typically go through, at this facility, they'll go through equalization, and the equalization may not occur within the same tank, but they'll go through equalization, an equalization tank, then it goes on to an aeration tank, and an activated sludge tank, metals precipitation tank, where lime is added to bring the metals out. It goes through sand filters, and it goes through carbon adsorption. So those are the processes that all of these materials go through, the waste streams would go through.
So all of the streams are combined to be treated?
Eventually, that's correct. They might not go through the same equalization tank in the beginning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, number 3 you answered. Has EIT started treating the IBM remediation wastewater?
I'm not quite sure, again, what that is, because IBM does treat, I mean, we got to know each other with the IBM remediation project and the vapor intrusion issue. IBM treats its waste, and it's not treated at that facility, at the EIT facility. They have their own treatment systems that they operate and are responsible for.
So none of the waste generated from the extraction from the plume is treated at the EIT facility?
That's correct. You'll hear from John about a spill that happened on, I think you have questions about the spill, one of the spills on the EIT campus. And when that spill occurred, EIT began taking over responsibility for its cleanup. But the IBM plume is treated and is the responsibility of IBM.
And I just thought of something that the reason we listed the questions is so that we would give the DEC folks and other folks time to look into it if necessary. you know, we're coming together here to get information from them.
Well, I also want to say that I did ask Frank for the questions because I could come and give a presentation on leachate and explain to you how leachate is generated ad nauseum, and I just didn't want to miss the mark. So I thought we would do a better service to you if we knew what your questions were and we could answer those directly.
Okay, thank you. Where does the discharge from the EIT facility go?
It goes to the Susquehanna River.
Are any waste streams from EIT I3 entering the Endicott sanitary sewer system?
Currently, we accept sanitary flows from that campus. So by design, industrial wastewater is treated through that facility. And if there are any excursions, those are things that are discussed between that campus and the village of Endicott prior to.
So, I guess I'm not quite clear. You take the sanitary waste, which you would expect,
Correct.
and then you also take other waste?
Occasionally, they have a fairly, they have a chiller system that's designed,
Okay.
and so occasionally there'll be a blowdown, or they'll have to replenish that chiller system, and with some of that makeup water, that'll be discharged to the sanitary system. That's approved prior by design. That's something that'll go back into their system, to their industrial wastewater treatment facility on site, but occasionally, due to the location, they have had to discharge into the sanitary.
Okay, thanks. 7, I think you've answered. Do you have a rough estimate of treatment volumes? 8, what are the total quantities in tons per year or gallons per year which EIT is discharging into the river?
Well, in gallons, it's estimated that I think the EIT treatment facility, and they report their numbers to us on a monthly basis, what their flows are, and they range from about 400,000 gallons a day up to about 600,000 gallons a day. I think the average is closer to 400,000. They are permitted up to 800,000.
Excuse me, Frank, that didn't really get to the essence of the question. The question was, by specific breakdown of contaminant, oils, greases, heavy metals, organochlorine, solvents, whatever, by those, how many tons per year are entering the Susquehanna River?
Okay, so that is the next question, really. All right, so as far as the composition of the discharge, do you have a breakdown of the, you see the list here, of the elements and compounds?
Right. Because I got these last night, I wasn't able to go back and to be able, the question is, break down all the heavy metals, break down all the organics, the salts, the chlorides, the oils, the grease, the hydrocarbons, and provide numbers on how many tons per year EIT is discharging into the river. And to be able to do that, I would need to go back and look at all 12 reports that they give us. They give us a report every month, and break that out by contaminant, and actually do that calculation based on the discharge monitoring reports. And in this particular case, I think, and I know that people have those, perhaps you have, do you have the discharge monitoring reports?
I've seen some of them, and they're not measured in the quantities of the waste. They're measured in the volume of the waste and then the percentages of these contaminants.
Actually, the metals are reported in pounds per day. And I believe so are the organics.
it's so voluminous, the amount of data that we got as a result of those foils, that I
Yeah.
really haven't been
Well,
through it all yet.
the information you're asking for is actually in there, and that's what I would encourage you to take a peek at.
It would be nice to have that in a nice summary, so we don't have to print out 1,000 pages and go through it and analyze it.
Well, actually, if you look at the monthly discharge monitoring reports, just the discharge monitoring reports that you have, and I think they're 2 pages each for each month, they report in pounds per day what the average is, the average pounds per day. And so that's in there. And it's really not that difficult to do, but it's there. And I guess I'm not really sure what this is trying to get at, but I will say that, the plant is in compliance. They do meet their limits. They have consistently met their limits. They are discharging, as I said, to the Susquehanna River, which is a Class A water body. The classification it's a system that DEC uses for its water bodies. Class A is a very high standard. It is a drinking water standard. So the discharge from this facility is meeting drinking water standard. Or the discharge when it's in the river is designed and is calculated and is permitted to meet the drinking water standard. No, there's a very big difference between those two treatment plants. They take the sanitary waste, you heard Phil say that, from the campus. The campus, so the sanitary waste goes to the Endicott plant where it does get disinfection. The disinfection is really warranted when there is a human waste component. There isn't human waste here, that's why there's no disinfection.
Okay, number 10.
On number 9, I don't know, I didn't hear it, I might have missed it. There's a letter E, and it says radioactive elements. Did you address that?
No, I did not. Sorry, it was on the flip page. No, they are not required to sample for radioactive elements. They typically, what we require is when we are aware that someone is taking a waste stream that would have those elements to them, we would require them to do appropriate sampling and monitoring for that.
Seneca Meadows takes drilling waste from Pennsylvania that are known to be radioactive.
Well, could you give me the source of your information?
Fractracker.org. It's a university-run website that monitors lots of things having to do with hydrofracking.
If you could, I think I need something a little bit better than that, but
Happy to.
we have, the Department of Environmental Conservation has a monitor at the Seneca Meadows landfill about 4 times a week, and they're there all day, every day, and actually they do other things to track down different things regarding Seneca Meadows. But we have someone devoted full-time plus other engineering staff. If they were taking fracking waste now, I think we would know it, the drill cuttings. So that is, I would question that, but I would be very happy to follow up on any information you can give me that gives me the facts on that, because I spoke to Seneca Meadows, I spoke to our staff that monitors that recently before I came down to make sure I had the current information. They are not taking drilling.
That's completely false, and the proof of that is actually the source of the frac tracker data is the Pennsylvania DEP has databases where they track the waste. And all you have to do is look at that, and I would be happy to show you those links.
That I would like to substantiate that more with what's currently going on there.
Okay.
You know,
So,
I think we need to have a discussion about that, because I really would feel more comfortable if I had somebody that I could talk to. You know, somebody from the Department of Environmental Protection in Pennsylvania.
okay, number 10. Are any landfills taking leachate or other liquid waste to the Village of Endicott Municipal Treatment Facility?
Currently, the Village of Endicott, we accept landfill leachate from Broome County landfill, which we've been accepting since the 80s. You know, that's...
Only?
Yeah, we haven't taken in any other, no, we haven't taken in any other landfill leachates. Oh, yeah, it's a fee system, you know. It's a, yeah. Now, what, one,
I was going to ask you, I have a question, but I'll wait till later. Not fair. These people get out.
Okay, so Rick is going to collect any questions so that we can insert them into our agenda. We're moving on to the monitoring and speedies permit. Number 11, what is the pH of the effluent discharge?
The permit allows the pH to be in the 6 to 9 range, and the discharge is routinely falls within that range. I'm not aware of any exceedances, but, and you asked about, what's added. EIT adds lime, as I might have mentioned earlier when I talked about the metals precipitation process that they have. They add lime to that and have for a very, very long time. And that is basically, it will adhere to the metals in the solution and help drop them out. And they go to the bottom of the tank, they're recovered, they're actually sent off-site and into Canada for metals reclamation.
Okay, and then they bring the pH back up, or down.
Right.
Yep. Before, what does the leachate contain? Where does it come from? You've answered that. How come we are importing it from another county? This one.
So why is it being imported?
Why is the county taking it? Why is it being brought to the county?
Well, it's being trucked in from one private company to another private company. So it's not like a municipality is controlling the flow of that. And it is a business relationship that those two companies have. Does that answer your question?
So you're saying Seneca Metals is a private company,
They are.
and Broome County Landfill is a private company?
No, I'm saying EIT, the former EIT. I'm sorry, I've got that
That's
on the
all right.
brain. I apologize. It's
We all said
Okay, good, thanks. We're all on board. We'll stipulate to the fact that I3 Electronics is the former EIT.
Right.
Okay, so no, did I answer your question?
One is a private company and one is Broome County, obviously, is the county municipality landfill. And so when they import the Seneca Meadows material, it's coming from a private company.
It's coming from a private company to a private company, correct? It's
Coming
not coming to Broome,
from a private company directly to the I3 treatment plant, or is it going to Broome County landfill first?
it does not go to Broome County first. It comes directly from Seneca Meadows to the EIT facility.
Doesn't the village of Endicott have to approve that? And also Broome County, so they have to get permits from all three, the DEC, Broome County, and the village of Endicott.
I'm sorry, I'm not aware if they need a permit from Broome County or the Village of Endicott.
That's what a DEC official told me.
I'd be happy to follow up, but I don't know if there would be something that the village or the county would require.
Okay, well, that really addresses the next question, which is the IBM EIT I3 facility was built to handle internally generated waste. Since the importation of the waste is fundamental difference in this operation, was there a modification to the Huron EIT speedies permit?
The direct answer to that is no, not yet. When EIT came to the department and requested permission to take, initially it was Broome County leachate, and then subsequently Seneca Meadows, we had the same answer for both, which was, let's basically, before we made a decision to modify the permit, we wanted to know just how well things would operate. And so we allowed EIT to accept this material under a pilot study, essentially, where we impose requirements for them to do sampling on a regular basis and demonstrate to us that they actually can take and appropriately treat these waste streams. If we had permitted it or attempted to permit it, then we give them authorization. It's much harder for us to say stop. They have legal rights. This way here, if we felt there was an issue with their permit, we could, under a pilot study, we can say, okay, we're done with the pilot study, now we'll make a decision on your permit. And the answer would be if it was failing and not working, we would say no. Obviously, we wouldn't stop them if we thought it was working fine. So there's been they're in the process of doing this pilot study. The permit is, the EIT permit is up for renewal in just a few months, and that permit will undergo a full technical review. It will go through a public comment process. So that's when we'll have a decision on whether we think this is an effective way of treating these waste streams. And then, of course, the modifications would be, they'll be advertised and noticed for public comment.
So the period of time of the actual pilot program apparently comes to an end when the renewal is up. Is that basically what you're saying? When your renewal the renewal is coming up in a few months, and when the renewal comes up, that is the end of the pilot program, correct?
Well, it may not be. What happens is we'll get involved with the technical review of this permit, and it can be very detailed. We look at an awful lot of things. So the permit application comes in, and we get into this long, detailed review. If we don't finish it until June, based on what we know now, I don't think we would stop that pilot study. So we would allow that pilot study to go through until we had the decision out there, and then we'd go to the public comment period. Typically, we obviously don't want the plant to put a plug in its outfall pipe, so we would allow it to continue to operate until we've got a final decision on what the conditions of this permit might be. Did I answer your question?
I think so.
And again, when is the permit renewal due? Let's say when the comment period is.
Well, we don't have a time frame on that. We're going to have to complete our technical review. But the permit, I don't know the date off the top of my head, but just give me 1 second here. It expires sometime in May of 2014. And I'm not sure, it's not there. So it'll be sometime in May of 2014 is the expiration of that permit. But again, it could remain operating until we can have a final decision. And some permit renewals are simple, some become complicated. If we have an extensive public comment period, we'll engage all of that and make sure that all of that gets vetted and then come up with a final decision.
Okay, do you have plans, and if not, would you make plans to have someone come down here around that time and address our group?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you. Um, 13. Has the public been notified this activity is occurring? I think you said no.
Right, that's correct. You have now.
Right. 14, was there any public hearing? And the answer is no again. 15, how often does DEC monitor the chemistry of the input and output of the waste streams of the Endicott facility?
Okay, just to be clear, we're talking about the EIT facility?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Well, we have not monitored in the last 5 years, I know that. I checked some records and went back quickly on this one earlier today, and I'll just explain a little bit on how we operate. I think we have about over 500 treatment plants just in the 9 counties that I work with. We focus our budget on facilities that we know and believe or have a strong suspicion are having problems and creating an environmental issue for us. We feel that's the best use of our budget. We do a fair amount of sampling of water bodies throughout our region. We are blessed with a lot of good surface water, so there's an awful lot of sites to get to. But for instance, we will take different water bodies each year and sample them intensely to see, and that way we can tell if there are stressed areas of, say, the Susquehanna River, or last year we spent a fair amount of time on the Unadilla and looking for areas that appear to be stressed. And not only do we look at water, but we'll look at habitat and, macroinvertebrates. They give us a good indication of how healthy water bodies are in those locations. And then from there, if we find that those water bodies are stressed, we'll start to do track down work. But typically, that's where the bulk of our sampling budget goes. We feel that that covers a larger ground. But not to say that if we're aware of issues or people have raised concern to us that we can somehow validate and are viable, we will do sampling. But we don't have a budget to sample every treatment plant in our area or in the state to verify what's going on.
So you really rely on the analysis from EIT I3. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And so what sort of protocol do you have to assure that those are accurate?
Well, we do inspections. We do inspections generally at least once a year in detail. Doesn't mean that we aren't there multiple times a year, but we'll check records, make sure that things seem to make sense. We talk to laboratories that are doing the work. So there's some track down work there, but given the sheer volume of facilities that are regulated in this state, we have to rely on self-reporting.
Okay. Now, this question came from one of our members that couldn't be here tonight, so I'll just throw it out to you. I saw that the plant is permitted to discharge 80,000 gallons per day. The DMRs show that several times they have discharged in excess of 500,000 gallons per day. Is this a violation of the permit?
Okay, I think there's a little bit of confusion here on what the plant is allowed to do. To be clear, the plant is authorized to discharge up to 800,000 gallons a day. Not to be confused with the allowed amount of leachate, which is 80,000 gallons a day for the plant to receive. The plant, as mentioned, someone looked at the discharge monitoring reports that they received from our office, and they do indicate, in fact, that there are discharges around the 500,000 gallon per day range. But the plant is permitted actually for much more than that. And in fact, the facility was originally designed and operated by IBM there. Many of you probably know that. And I believe the design of that plant was in the 2 million gallons a day range. But regardless, just to be clear, the plant is not permitted to discharge 800,000 gallons per day. It's authorized to accept up to 80,000 gallons per day of leachate. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
I think this question belongs here. Has the Chesapeake Foundation been contacted or involved in any of the issues discussed here tonight? From our group, I think no.
I'm sorry, the Chesapeake Foundation? I'm not sure who they are. Who are they? Oh, the TMDL? Oh, okay. Well, this facility really doesn't have an ammonia discharge or a phosphorus discharge like they do. It was evaluated. Let's back it up a little bit. Okay, this area is in the Chesapeake Bay drainage basin. Let's put it that way. The water here goes down and ultimately to the Chesapeake Bay. And the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has worked with the state of Maryland, the state of Pennsylvania, and the state of New York to impose limits, discharge limits, from facilities like the Endicott treatment plant and many other facilities and so they've imposed discharge limits for protection of the Chesapeake Bay. And so, and the primary concerns for those discharges are two contaminants, ammonia and phosphorus. So and typically those are waste streams or contaminants that come out of wastewater treatment plants, specifically ones that accept human sewage. As we talked about, the EIT facility doesn't take sanitary waste, doesn't treat sanitary waste. I'm pretty sure the phosphorus concentrations out of the EIT facility are negligible. There is some ammonia, but it falls very low when it's compared to other municipal wastewater treatment plants. So we have looked at that as an agency, and we'll continue to look at that as an agency, especially during the renewal time. That's part of that technical review. You're welcome.
Okay.